Hi, I'm Jacob. I just started SIG Cryptal. It's supposed to be a competitive SIGINT site to be able to do signals and intelligence, to be able to do cryptography, cybersecurity, electronic warfare, information operations. It's supposed to do algorithms and a whole lot of other things that are associated with information operations. So I wanted to make a video and a series on my channel to give people guidance on how to become a programmer and a competitive programmer. So I'm not an expert in competitive programming. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm really good at learning things quickly, and I hope to be able to show you how to learn quickly as well. So when I got out of the military in October, I didn't know which career field to go into, so I studied programming, and I was able to, within a few months, get in the top 5% for competitive programming competitions on multiple different sites. So I'm here to teach you guys competitive programming, and I'm here to teach you how to learn very quickly to get in the top 5%. Now, it's not easy, it takes a lot of work, but I'm here to help lower the curve and to make it easier for you guys. Ideally, I would like to start a competitive programming club to help collegiate athletes be able to go to the ICPC, and that'd be a dream later on. And I hope to help others achieve greatness and success within the field of programming. So this the first couple of videos that we will go over are going to involve HackerRank, LeetCode, and then we'll get into more specialized sources. So in order to be a competitive SIGINTer, you need to understand programming. You can't do SIGINT without programming. So I'm going to show you 3 different languages, and we're going to go over C++, Java, and Python, and show you the ins and outs of just a simple hello world. That's going to be our first exercise. And show you why cryptographers use C++, but why SIGINTers use Python. So if you look at the first challenge for HackerRank, which is a website that I recommend you signing up for, they have a 30-day code challenge that essentially is what we're going to go over to teach you guys the basics, and then we'll expand from there. We'll learn very quickly on how to become in the top, or how to get into the top 5% of some of these competitive programming competitions. So if we look at C++, which is a lower level language than Java and Python, C++ requires using headers to essentially provide where the functions are coming from, or where the tools are coming from. So in this case, you have a couple different headers that you include to be able to use string, to be able to use getLine, to be able to use cout. So for example, cout is part of the IOStream library. And so here, just to write a simple hello world, you're going to go through a main function that you have to define. And the return, for the most part, is optional, but people will include it. Return of 0 just means everything went okay. Different return code means there was an error. In this case, you have to declare your string variable ahead of time. So input string is going to be your string variable. And you have to declare all your variables in C++. Going further, you have a lot of control over different buffers and registers within your computer or whatever information system you're using. So in this case, you're going to get the line that's coming from the standard in or standard input. So essentially just think of keyboard. In this case, sin is part of the IO stream, and what it does is it takes the input, user input, and it essentially copies it over to the input stream. In this case, you're in a cout, which is essentially displaying it to the standard out right here. And so you say hello world. And in this case, we're doing hello world and then a custom string function that's inputted for all of these. They're all going to be the same. Now this video is a little different because it's covering 3 different languages. In the future, we'll just be covering Python. So here you're outputting 2 different lines from your program. The first one is already predefined and statically typed within the program. The other one is dynamic, so it's getting information from the string variable input string, which is populated from the getLine function. Now going to Java, not a huge Java fan, but there are a lot of people that like Java, and Android runs on Java and Kotlin. So it's something to be aware of and to have some familiarity with. It's not hard to go in between the 3 languages if you understand how syntax works. So you can argue that you have probably more lines of Java, even though it's supposed to be an easier language. In this case, you have to define the public class, or you define the class which is public, and that's going to be your solution. And then within it, you define a main function. And that main function takes the arguments from the command line, or whatever is provided. In this case, we're going to be concerned with scanner. The scanner function is able to take the standard input and then populate the scan, or the scanner scan. In this case, the scan is a data type of scanner. And so moving forward, you can populate your newly defined string variable, so the input string, by using next line. And then you close your scanner because you're not going to use it again. You output based on print line hello world, and then you output print line based on input string, which is your string variable. It seems like a lot of redundancy, and it's almost as much, if not more, than C++. So let's get to a language that is very easy to use and is almost like English. However, it's not a 6th generation language, so it still has some nuances that you have to be aware of and familiar with. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to use. So in this case, we're just going to input raw information from the command line or from standard input, which is going to be your keyboard in this situation. And now correct me in the channel if I'm wrong, but I believe Python uses duck typing, which essentially means that you don't have to declare your variables ahead of time, and it determines the variable data type based on what is being assigned to it. And so in this case, you're able to print your hello world, which is already predefined within your program, and then print a dynamic string variable, which is populated from input. And as you can see, it's only 3 lines compared to a whole bunch in C++. And this is really just touching the tip of the iceberg. And over the next few weeks and few months, if you stay on this channel, I'll teach you how I went from not doing any competitive programming to getting in the top 5% within 3 or 4 months. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, but it's well worth it. So going further, just want to touch upon one simple test case. So one of the test cases, or one of the problems within LeetCode's last week's competition, was determining what the largest odd number in the string was. So in this case, you want to determine if there are any odds, and you want to determine what the largest odd number is. So we can go through that now. And what's really important to note here is that the substring is defined within this question, and it's saying a non-empty substring, which just means that it's a continuous sequence of characters within a string. So if you go to your trusty Anaconda or Jupyter notebook, then we can determine and code in real time. So here are a few numbers and test cases that I just came up with. Only have a few minutes left in 15-minute video, so just wanted to go over the two-pointer method that we'll cover later in competitive programming and competitive SIGINT. So the competitive aspect of it is to be able to break down a problem and essentially derive a solution or multiple solutions, just in case that your first avenue doesn't pass one of the test cases. And when something doesn't pass a test case, it just means that it takes too long to run, or your runtime complexity is too slow, or your space complexity is too large. So in this scenario, I would use the two-pointer method. Essentially what that means is you maintain 2 pointers from the left and the right. So in this scenario, if the right is, you start off on 2 and you start off on 3. If the right is odd, then that means the largest odd value or odd number in there is going to be the whole number. Same scenario with here, with this situation, this test case. Now if you were to change it to 4, what you do is you essentially determine the two-pointer method again, and since they're both even, then you check the next number to see if it is odd or even. In this scenario, I would start moving the right pointer closer and closer. So in this situation, or this test case, you start on 2 and you start on 4, and then you move the right pointer for the 2 pointers over to the 3 value. So in this scenario, you're just looking at 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, which is essentially the second largest value you can have, and it's going to be the largest value you can have for odd numbers in the string. So in this situation, you're going to have a length of 5. So moving forward, you can do the same analysis on this one. Now this is going to be a little different because we have to determine how long we can make the odd string or substring. What is the largest substring, odd substring? So in this scenario, let's create another number there. Let's put another number there. So we start with our two-pointer method. We have the left one on the 2, and we have the right one on the 6. This scenario, they're not odd, so we move the right one over 1, and that is odd. So that would be the longest test case for having the longest odd number in there. Now if you wanted to make it even more difficult, you add another even number over there. So in this case, we squeeze it down, right, left, and so now we're on 2 and 8. Once again, we squeeze it down, right, and that's an odd number. And so in that scenario, you're able to determine that that is, in fact, the largest odd number. So I wanted to touch upon a few more algorithms that can be applied to this problem. So this is just one that you should have in your back pocket. It won't always work for every problem, and we want to be able to set up a toolbox to be able to come up with 5 solutions within 30 or 40 seconds and pick the one that has the highest likelihood of succeeding. And so we'll go through that during this channel and during the series. Ultimately, it's for competitive SIGINT, and so I want to help you be in the top 5% within a few months for competitive programming. I hope you check out my site, SigCryptal, and I look forward to seeing you guys on my channel. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.